All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm Brian Banks from Your Career Day. Um, I appreciate you being here and sharing some knowledge with us. Can you give us your name?
My name is Roderick Cox.
Okay. And where's your hometown?
I'm out of New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay. And what is your career title?
My career title is a rear tire changer for Hendrick Motorsports.
Okay. So what does that entail?
So that entails changing NASCAR tires as fast as humanly possible. So when the cars come in for gas and tires, I'm one of the guys that you see hopping over the wall, going, hitting lug nuts, pulling off the tire, and then I'll put more lug nuts back onto the wheel, run around the car, and I do the same thing to the rear tire on the left side.
Okay. All right. Now, what type of education is required for this type of position?
I don't really think there is a education requirement.
Okay.
It's more so a skill set requirement. They're looking for some of the most athletic people in the world.
Okay. Let's see. What type of person is best suited to do what you do?
An athlete. Yes, an athlete is best suited to do this job. It's really, it really wears on your body a lot. It's a long season, 36 weeks. You're in the extreme heat, and sometimes you're in extreme cold, and you're gonna have to be out here ready to perform when that car comes down.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no excuses. They generally travel all around the United States, scouting out athletes to see who would best fit their program. Each team, most teams do that.
Yeah.
And they'll invite you to a combine, and you'll come there, and maybe there'll be over 100 people, or maybe there'll be around 30. But with my group, there was over 100 athletes, and of that group, we all did the stuff that you see on the NFL Pro Day, the 5-10-5, the L drill, the vertical jump, the bench press test, all of that stuff. And out of those people, they get the people that they think are the most athletic to come to the mini camp, which has about 35 people there. And of that 35, they'll see which group of kids that they think that they can coach the best and groom to be the face of Hendrick Motorsports in the future to come. And out of that 35, I think my group, there was 7 that made it out of that. So 7 out of 100 make it, whenever they have tryouts.
Wow. That's amazing. It sounds like a lot of work.
Yes, it is a lot of work.
What was your road to your current position?
My road to my current position was, so I was a student athlete, like a really good student athlete. I made all A's all the way up, all through high school, and I went to NC State to be a civil engineer. My football team in high school, like football was everything for me. That was the sport that I gravitated the most to my 9th grade year. Everybody thought it should have been basketball, but I loved football, and when I got to my senior year in high school, we lost in the state championship after being 15-0, and I was a little heartbroken, and I just didn't want to do anything with football anymore. So I was like, forget it, whatever. I'm gonna just do schoolwork, be a scholar, and just be inside working all day, because I know I can do that well, and that really hurt me, like losing that championship game. And when I got to NC State, the guy who was coordinating the film for football practice at NC State was my coach's son. So I was going to use that as like my side job. I was going to, still be a part of it and look at it. And then I started looking, and I was like, man, I think I could hang with these guys, and it started weighing on me more and more. And one day I went to the strength coach, and he was like, "What's up, Cox?" And I was like, "What's up? What's up, Thunder?" And then he was like, "Man, you look like you used to be an athlete." And I was like, yeah, I could probably hang with these boys out here. And he said, well, come on out here. And then, I didn't take him serious,
Right.
but he really did want me to come out there. So I went out there to the tryouts, and they didn't pick anybody up. And I was like, well, why did he tell me to come out here if they're not going to pick anybody up? So he told me to come out there again. So I went out there a total of 3 times, and I made it the last time, and I walked on to NC State to play football, where I eventually worked my way up to being a special teams player, really key special teams player my senior year. And I would get in every now and then, in 4-down territory. And from there, I was gonna go and give a shot at the NFL, but I got a few calls from people, but I had pulled my hamstring and I wasn't gonna make it. So I told them I couldn't make it, and also I had friends that were there at those teams that did call, and they said it's not what you think. Like, they're not gonna bring you in to actually put you in there. They just bring you in because they need people to practice with, and then they'll send you home in a couple weeks. And I was like, man, well, that don't sound like fun. So it was a little discouraging, a little heartbreaking, but my strength coach came in and he saw me working out or whatever, because I was still working out, because I was like, well, maybe something happens and I do actually get a shot to go. And on the day that I was about to go to an interview for an engineering job, because that's what I went to school for, so I had my degree, I was gonna go be an engineer now. And he stopped me and said, hey, these guys want to talk to you. It was Coach Flynn. He wanted to get my number and talk with me on the phone about pursuing a career with Hendrick Motorsports. And I was like, nah, he got the wrong dude. Uncle Dan, I call him Uncle Dan, but that's Coach Thunder. So he got the wrong dude, Uncle Dan. I don't know nothing about NASCAR other than Jeff Gordon is on like Food Line commercial or whatever. I didn't know anything about the sport. And he said, well, Cox, it's a job, so at least you could just give it a try. Go see if you like it. You might like it. And if you don't, you can still go be an engineer. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you go be an engineer, you won't be able to come back to this. And I was like, okay, I could give it a shot. And I went out there and I loved it, because it was the exact same thing that we had been training and working for. You know what I'm saying? Because I had really, really impressive numbers like in Pro Day. And when I went out there, they were still impressive, and they were impressed, thankfully. And shout out to Uncle Dan. He put that work in, man, got me right. And the rest was history after that. They liked what they saw, and they asked if I liked being a part of what I experienced, and I told them, yeah, it was really cool, and I enjoyed the competitiveness of it. It makes it fun, interesting, like coming down, like when you make the team and you practice and you get good at it, and you're good at it, like it's that same feeling that you had from your previous sport, like football. Right. I know I was good at it. Like, I know exactly what's about to happen when I come in here. Most likely, And when those cars come down and your car is maybe fourth or whatnot, and you get to put them out first, like you feel like you really did something, like competing against those other cars and everything and beating people off pit road all the time, every stop, every week. Like, that's what makes this job, worthwhile.
That was my next question. What makes this job fun, interesting, or exciting, or all the above?
That the competition and the camaraderie and the friends you meet and make and everything. It really reminds you of competing in the previous sport that you were in.
Okay. All right, cool. What advice would you give to someone that might want to follow in your footsteps?
Diligently work hard in everything you do, and never sell yourself short. Never take no for an answer if it's something that you really want to do. And whether if somebody's looking or not, always do what's right. and do it good. Okay, never do a half job, because this job, actually, I asked when I got here, I was like, if y'all didn't come to NC State, I would never even know you guys exist. How would somebody find y'all if, like, there's no job application, ain't now hiring pit crew, like there's no publicity or anything that would lead you to coming out here to get a job, unless you knew somebody that worked there or you grew up in the area, you know. But they told me, they said, we like the man in black, Rod. We find you, you don't find us. And I was like, wow, because they were saying that they watch people, and you know they are always looking. There is always somebody watching what you do and everything. And even with our developmental group, so you know how they brought us in from minicamp, right? So they had somebody whose job it was to sit in the parking lot that night at the hotel to see who left, who went in, who went out, like who partied, like they watched everything about you for those whole 3 days.
Wow.
And they told us that after we got picked, and we was like, what? And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, like, my roommate, who didn't make it, who did go out, he was trying to get me to come out with him and I think it was me and AJ Blue, I think. He played at Carolina. He was a really good athlete, too. And he was like, yeah, man, come on, y'all, let's go out, man. You got the shorties out here, blah, blah. And we were like, man, we got to get up and put this work in the morning, man. We're not trying to be like, you know, lethargic or slow or whatnot. But it turns out they had somebody sitting in the car out there anyway to see who did what, you know, and that was, you know, that was it. You know, so always be on your P's and Q's, you know, if anybody's trying to follow in my footsteps, I guess if you want to do that, don't. These ain't footsteps to follow in.
Well, Roderick, we appreciate you sharing some knowledge of how you got to where you are. Best of luck to you, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.